Hello and welcome to the last round of the Swiss here in PTQ here in Manchester. We have Michael Maxwell, who's pretty much already in the top 8, pretty much locked in there. He's decided to play to try and finish top of the Swiss against Mike Burke on 21 points.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that's come in due to, it's not a new thing that Wizards have done, but the fact that now you get rewarded for finishing top of the Swiss in Premier events, it definitely adds an extra dimension to the final rounds of an event like this. You can no longer, completely guarantee that you're going to get an ID off your opponent.
And in a big 300-person PTQ, sometimes even an ID is not good enough anyway.
No. So in this matchup, I think Michael's just gonna look to try and control the board a bit early, make sure that Mike Burke doesn't produce too much in the way of serious aggression his way, and then look to take over the game with planeswalkers for the most part.
We were maybe expecting something a bit more impressive after Mike powered out, what was it, a Farseek turn 2?
Yeah, turn 2 Farseek. I think he was hoping to produce something a little bit more impressive than a ground seal on turn 3.
Way to go with the pressure there.
Yep.
And here we're seeing the first of many spirits hitting the play.
Yeah. And I like the fact that Michael's got the proper tokens and he's representing properly there. Mike using a tragic slip on one there. I'm not too, not too sure that that's sort of optimal. Sort of an optimal use of tragic slip there. I imagine the reason that the way things are played out like this, either Mike drew that Huntmaster this turn, which I don't think he did because he paused on his draw step, so my guess was Bonfire, what he had there, but he might have had to ground seal for his 4th land to draw and try and get a 4th land. Deadweight from Michael Maxwell. That's actually an interesting card for...
Deadweight got a lot of play about 6 months ago.
Probably a little bit before that. It got a lot of play when Sun Titan was legal in the format, basically in the Solar Flare decks that were in standard just before
You'd
Sun
see
Titan
it getting
rotation.
played in some of the zombie mirrors and things like that.
It wasn't really
up from time to time.
Yeah, occasionally. It wasn't massive in those matchups. It was more famous.
At the time, Black didn't really have anything in the point removal that was any good.
Well, there hasn't been a huge amount in point removal that's been that good. Doomblade's going to be reprinted in M14, but that's about as far as that's had quite a few people jumping up and down just because Black removal's not been that good recently. Just kind of what has led to the the lack of decent point removal has kind of helped the creature decks. But it'll be interesting to see which way things swing when M14 comes in. But yeah, Deadweight's time was generally around Sun Titan time, especially with its rather sort of complicated-ish ability that it can come back from the graveyard from a Sun Titan activation and enchant something that's got hexproof. Confused quite a few people and made quite a few people with Geist to Saint draft rather upset.
Well, the board state seem to be progressing at a fair pace here. Both players certainly not wasting any time getting stuck in.
No, they're both playing at a decent pace, and you'd expect Michael Maxwell to do that. He's a very, very solid player, and if you're going to play Esper in a 302-player tournament, you better be good at it.
That is the downfall for a lot of players when they sort of pick up these net decks. Yeah, end up drawing in themselves into oblivion.
I think that much of that just comes down to playing and testing. When I was playing in testing and, you play against good players in testing, you very rarely have super long games. just because you both know what you should be doing. And if a game should only really go long if a situation comes up that's really unfamiliar to you, or a board state that's incredibly complex. You shouldn't really be thinking for ages over what looks like a pretty standard decision.
So now he has a decision over this Huntmaster. He still doesn't want to flip it.
No, I mean, Michael played a Sphinx's Revelation main phase there to make sure it didn't flip.
And Garrick hits the board.
Pretty good card for Mike Burke. It's a card which can rival Sphinx's Revelation for the amount of cards it gets you through.
Well, it allows you to get some board position as well without giving up card advantage for it.
Yeah, I mean, even if Michael has Supreme Verdict here or a similar sort of sweeper, Garrick's just going to start making creatures again. Now, I imagine Michael's going to have something along those lines at this point.
Well, if he has a sweeper, now would be the right point to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But then he has to follow it up with a threat of his own, or else Garrick's just going to run rampant in this game.
Yep. Michael just setting up his land there, and there is Supreme Verdict. And it looks like he's left up... I don't think he's left up Dissipate Mana there. But it looks like he's left up blue and 2, so...
Well, we've got this ground steel shutting down any Snapcaster mages.
Yeah, I'm not even sure Michael plays Snapcaster main deck. And Liliana of the Veil as well, so...
If you're against a control deck, certainly Planeswalkers is the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Michael bins a deadweight and Mike Burke bins a land. Might be a slightly strange position for Michael Maxwell to be in, because usually he's the one who's playing Planeswalkers, but... Speaking of Planeswalkers, there's Jace. And I imagine he's going to tick it up, draw a card and mill Mike for 1 here. I don't think there's much point going aggressively after Mike's library at this point. You might as well just start drawing cards. And the thing that will do, it will kind of negate Liliana's +1. It's like if you're drawing 2 cards a turn and your opponent's drawing 1, you don't really mind your opponent making you both discard a card.
Over the wave of beasts might be more of a problem.
No, when you've got Azorius Charms. But, yep, here it comes again. And Garrick heading towards his ultimate.
So if Mike does something like play a Thragtusk, he might just choose to draw 5 cards instead.
Yeah, definitely. Although, again there, it's like, I think Mike had a Thragtusk in hand, and if you hand this Thragtusk Garrick there, I don't really see the bonus in ticking up Liliana. So I really think that there you should just be... There are sometimes Liliana is one of the few Planeswalkers where sometimes the best thing to do with her is just nothing.
Especially in Legacy.
Yeah. I mean, any time it's on the board, and I certainly think here it probably would have been better for Mike to do nothing, as he can just cash in his Garrick and then lay another one, or he can also, make a Thragtusk, draw 5 cards, and still have a backup Garrick if his opponent...
I mean, the risk is that, he plays Thragtusk and then it gets Azorius Charmed
or
in response to Garrick's ability.
Yeah, or it just gets countered. But Liliana just making your opponent discard 1 isn't going to get rid of a counterspell your opponent's going to really need anyway. And there's Aetherling from Michael Maxwell, so tables have turned a little bit here. And one thing that Aetherling is very good at is dealing with opposing Planeswalkers. So now Mike's got to think a little bit about what's going on here. Not too sure why paid 2 life for his land there because he can play around. He could play around Syncopate even without paying the life there. So, I mean, whether it's relevant or not, I'm not too sure. But Thragtusker's dropped. He might have a card like Abrupt Decay or something like that he wants to keep open. A -2's Lily to make the Aetherling flip. And what's he going to attack now? He's going to attack Michael. So Michael goes to 13. And another Ground Seal. Aetherling reflips, and I think that we're going to see. I think we're going to see Mike's Planeswalkers dying one by one at this point. As he continues to draw cards with his Jace.
13 is just that little bit too much life to be able to crush him in a turn here.
Yeah, really. I mean, I just don't think that Michael's. I don't think Michael's in too much danger here. He's also got a Vault of the Archangel there in terms of, you know, in case of anything sort of dangerous coming from Mike's side, he can really start gaining a lot of life. Unblockable, and down goes Garrett. It's been a while since there was a playable Morphling variant in Standard, but now everyone gets to witness the annoyance that it was, that Morphling was when it was around.
I'm still not convinced we'll see too much of it before the format shifts over to M14, but certainly for block it was the powerhouse card of the set. I think we had something like 7 of the top 8 decks at the Block Pro Tour.
Yeah, I mean,
running Aetherling.
We're seeing it here, and there are a couple of decks at the top tables that are running it, so
you have to be very careful about that one. Slaughter games just ruining your entire day.
Yeah, very potentially. Or as we saw at the Pro Tour, people using some very odd cards to try and deal with it.
Well, the red decks just didn't care, did they?
6 mana's a lot for a creature. And Mike is attacking Jace at this point. And I think that Michael has, yeah, he's got another Azorius Charm, so Jace is going to live. Goes down to 2. Again, Liliana not really getting a huge amount done here.
Well, that's the problem when you got a couple of cards in your hand and you want to keep them both because they're pretty much the goods.
Now, Livia's I mean, with enough mana, she's potentially can stop Aetherling attacking you. So, definitely a potential worry for Michael there, but he's now on the mill plan as well, so he's attacking from a couple of angles here. Wonder if we'll see Jace just start milling for 10 shortly.
Anytime you leave Jace unchecked for this length of time, you got to think bad things are going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, he's been mitigating it slightly with that Liliana, but Jace is always going to beat Liliana in a straight-up fight like this. So Mike's going to putrefy the Aetherling, making it flip out. Oh, gotcha. That's warp physique from Michael Maxwell there. So plus X minus X, where X is equal to the number of cards in hand, and he managed to get Olivia with it.
Certainly one of the narrower cards in the format that we weren't really expecting.
It's an early removal spell, isn't it, though, along with dead weight, and I think they're the sort of decks that Michael's really concerned about when he's playing Esper Control. He's got to feel like he's got the beating of the mid-range decks. It's just the mono red and blitz style decks that he's going to be really worried about. Out goes Aetherling again, and Thragtusk comes crashing in and finally kills Jace. And 6 mana for Sire of Insanity from Mike, so
Mike's really hoping Michael doesn't have a play this turn.
So it's Aetherling against Thragtusk and Sire of Insanity. So let's see how good Aetherling actually is under these circumstances. No damage on the stack anymore, so he can't play stupid tricks with the power and toughness. But Michael's just going to kill Liliana, so add another Planeswalker to the Aetherling kill count.
He's certainly chewing through them all there, but still needs a little bit of help on defence here.
Yep. I mean, the Thragtusk can't attack. Oh, Detention Sphere. I mean, what Mike Burke would really want to see, here's a Wolf Run. Does that mean that his Thragtusk can now attack into the Aetherling?
Mm-hmm.
But no such luck, and the cards continue to fall off Mike's library now. That Detention Sphere was pretty powerful for Michael Maxwell there.
It's certainly one of the problems that people who stream Magic tournaments always have. It's like trying to explain the game to the beginner. You know, when you're playing other games like League of Legends, it's pretty obvious to tell who's winning. But when anyone new to Magic the Gathering would look at these scores, you definitely think Mike Burke was ahead.
Yeah. But that Aetherling Aetherling's just chewing him up at this point. Oh. And this is one thing that I'm not too sure about for Mike. I mean, I'm not sure whether it'd change anything or not, but he is just laying land as they come off the top. And when you do that, you just don't give your opponent any tough decisions. I mean, whether it would be a tough decision for Michael Maxwell at this point, I honestly don't know, because he's just going to make the same move. It's just going to be, I'm going to attack with my Aetherling. Except this time it looks like he's going to activate his Vault of the Archangel as well. And I just don't see how Mike Burke's in this game.
And he realises pretty quickly that life sucks for him, so Michael takes it 1-0 up against Mike.